The reason that I'm doing the rework on Valkyrie is that Jacob did the original draft, which I like. But I was kind of substantially under the weather when that book came in. I mean, this was not the concussion. Mm-hmm. This was like the respiratory thing from hell. I did a silver semester course for Shannon Forrest last year that was going to be a writer's workshop. Only one person came. Okay, it's a small school. Mm-hmm. So she found herself all alone with the world famous author. And I was so sick, my voice was like almost completely gone. By the time I got to the end of that workshop, it was gone. Okay, it was like a 4-day workshop, and I think it was good for. And she was good. Okay, I think she can definitely succeed as a writer. But so when I read it, I said, okay, fine, and I sent it off to Tony, and Tony read it, and she liked it, and she bought it, but she said, I don't have enough feeling of historical context in here. Okay, I don't have enough feeling that, Samuel Pepys is really from a different time and so forth. So I said, oh, okay. So Jacob and I discussed it, and I suggested to Tony that we should start Valkyrie Protocol instead of starting it with the scene that the first readers have already seen, which begins with Raybert announcing he's decided he's going to kill all of his friends. It now starts with Benjamin and Elzbieta's wedding. And then in the next chapter, you have Theodora interviewing Samuel Pepys. Okay. And that gives us a bigger time break between that she talks to him and then the discovery of the problem in T3 and T4, the other universes, and her proposal to the committee about the Black Plague. And then I started looking at the chapters that take place in the 6th century. And I started doing a little more research, and there were some very interesting characters wandering around in 540. We really lucked out with Patriarch Ephraim of Antioch, who was a remarkable fellow. If people who have read Eric and David Drake's Belisarius books will recognize some of the names, but a rather different take on who they were based on my reading of the history. It's at a stage in the process where what I'm doing doesn't necessarily conflict with what they did, but it looks at some of these characters in a somewhat different light, because after all, it's a different set of time travelers going back and mucking around with them. Okay. I am almost finished with the historical section of the. I mean, I have one more scene to do. That's how close to finished I am. And I have to admit, the last week or so, I spent kind of thumping my head against the wall because the plot strand, the plot structure works so well the way it was set up in the original draft. Okay? And I wanted to be careful to make as few fundamental changes as I could. I think probably, actually, there are no fundamental changes to the actions that take place, except during the 6th century. But what happened in the 6th century, what I redid in establishing Theodora and Pepys' relationship in the 30th century before they go back and so forth, all of it is going to have minor impacts all the way through the book. So what we're doing at this point is I am putting the entire manuscript back through my Dragon Naturally Speaking. And I'm just going to do an entirely new draft, which anybody who has read the first one will look at and go, okay, this was there to begin with. Everything. I'm about 80, 90,000 words in.
Okay.
There have been significant changes there, but not to anything that's going to impact the nature of the problem or how our heroes have to deal with it in the 30th century. You see what I'm saying? I do think that in the process, I've found an opportunity to deepen some of the characters and their relationships with one another in a way that will make subsequent scenes hit harder, if you see what I'm saying. But I had restructured what happened in Antioch substantially. And then I had to figure out how to make what I restructured in Antioch work with what happens in Constantinople. And I'm going, interesting corner you've painted yourself into here, Dave. So I had to do some more research and figure some stuff out. I think that it works well. And I think that Jacob is pleased with what I've been doing, and that's important too in a collaboration. If you're going to be modifying someone else's original work in a collaboration, then again you have to do it in a way that's respectful of the original, and it's important for the partners to keep their communication channels open and unconstrained. There have been cases of collaborators who communicated only in written form through their agents because they were so pissed with each other. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the death knell of a collaborative relationship. Used to be, if you were going to do collaboration, you did it with somebody who lived in the same house you did, or at least on the same block.
Right.
Okay. And nowadays, with the internet and Skype and everything else, we can be geographically diverse while we're working on something. But that doesn't really change the complexity and the intimacy of the creative relationship that needs to exist. And some people are very, very good at playing with others. Some people suck at it. Sometimes you have a situation in which somebody who's very good at it is supporting somebody who sucks at it, and they're producing a superior product. But people frequently don't realize that it's this guy over here who is making it work because the other guy is so difficult that nobody else would collaborate with him. You see? And I am not saying that Jacob might say that was the case at all. But I would.